All right, welcome everybody. Team Rhino call for April 2nd. We're into the month of April, and that means that we're actually going to do some recognition on this call because the month of March is over, and we've been doing recognition more on a monthly basis and doing a top coach of the month since the beginning of the year, which I think is kind of fun to have a top coach of the month, and I've been basing that on top volume and Success Club points combined, and just coming up with who had the best combination of those two. And the last 2 months, January and February, have been both the amazing Pink Rhino Jody Williams, who has taken that spot for us. But we have a new top coach for the month of March, and it's not one of the Diamond coaches, and it may not be one that you would necessarily expect to be in the top coach, but she has been really killing it these last few months, making Success Club, being consistent, and our top coach for the month of March is Kayla Moontree, who was tied for top Success Club points out of everyone, and she was third in total volume points. So she was way up there in total volume points, and she also was tied for top Success Club points. And so congratulations to Kayla Moontree for being the March top coach in the whole team of Team Rhino. Let's see what else. Success Club, Kayla Moontree, Kirsten Larson, who is one of Kayla's coaches, Leona Walters, who was also very close to the top of Success Club points for the month with, I think, 7. Lisa Madsen, Brooke Brown, and we'll just stop for a second there with Brooke making Success Club. That is her 3rd straight month and her 3rd month total as a coach. So she now gets a Success Starter ticket, a free ticket to Summit for making Success Club in all 3 of her first months as a coach, which is pretty awesome. So we've had quite a few people come through doing Success Starter, making Success Club their first month or their first and second month. Very few people have done it all the way through the 3 months. So congratulations, Brooke, for getting a free ticket to Summit. Then Jody Williams also in Success Club, Mike Ryan, Sarah Albright, Stephen Lazar, and Christy Nicole. Those are our Success Club qualifiers. Our top volume producers, top 10, Jody Williams, Mike Ryan, Kayla Moontree, Heidi Bortz, Stephen Lazar, Alex Torres, Mark Cancilla, Becky Bowden, Brooke Brown, and Taylor Dinslage, or Taylor Marie, as most of you know her on Facebook. So those are all of our people who are just killed it in the month of March. And congratulations to all of you. I'll put a cover photo up and recognize you in the group later today. But there's just been so much stuff going on with different announcements and everything. I didn't want to cloud it up with more and have people miss the recognition. So that is our recognition for March. Let's see what else I have on the agenda here. Oh, I put up the spring cleaning voting. So we are starting to vote on who the best transformations were from our 6-week challenge over the last 6 weeks. And some of the pictures are really awesome. I think we're kind of having a bit of a landslide on the female side with one set of pictures right now, but there's still plenty of voting to go, or plenty of time to vote all the way till the end of tomorrow so that I can announce on Saturday or Sunday. So get in there and vote. It's in the regular Team Rhino page. Even if you were not part of the 6-week challenge that we did as coaches, you're welcome to vote on. In fact, I'd love for you to vote, so we have plenty of votes on who our male winner and our female winner were for that challenge. They're each going to get $300, whoever wins, from the $20 piece pot that we put in. So go check that out in the Team Rhino coaching page. There's a whole bunch of pictures in there, and you can vote. There's a link to vote. Number 3 on my list, the Diamond Push to Diamond Leader Group. This is a huge, huge, huge opportunity. I don't know how else to tell you guys how huge this opportunity is. I think I put some of the stats from the last group that this same or a similar group of leaders ran. Like 35 new diamonds, and then another group 22 new diamonds, and those 22 new diamonds each got a $345 bonus basically from that group for making diamond. So the pot, the $20 a piece pot, was split amongst the people who make diamond and make all the qualifications. So they made diamond, which grew their business by a whole bunch. Likely made Success Club both of the months that the 10-week challenge went on. Increased their income by a bunch, went from making $14 a cycle, not even making cycles. Some of those people were coaches that made diamond in 10 weeks. They went from either $0 or $14 a cycle to $18 a cycle. So they increased their income, all this stuff, and then they got paid $345 for doing it. So this is a huge opportunity. There's 15 or more leaders who are going to be putting information in this group, and they range from, 15-star diamonds to even a couple of them that have been top 10 coaches. This is just incredible. You're going to get to hear, you'll probably hear very similar stuff that you hear from me, but you'll hear from a different perspective, from a different person. There'll be lots of validation of what you know is right. There'll be lots of motivation to go do stuff that you don't normally do because because things get in the way in life or whatever. They're going to talk about a lot of awesome stuff. So this is a really big opportunity to push yourself if you're feeling stagnant, or push yourself if you're new. And there's not going to be any requirement to be anything other than dedicated and put your 20 bucks in. That's it. So you don't have to be emerald. But if you put 20 bucks in and do nothing, that's obviously not going to do you a whole lot. So set your mind right to begin with. And I'm going to put up tonight, I will put up the sign up sheet for signing up for this group, and how you can send the $20 so that you can be in the group. And I'll put up all the qualifications for what it will take to win part of the pot, because it's not just making diamond, because some people might be one coach away from diamond and join this group. And so they've made that fair by requiring a certain number of coaches that you have to sign up and a certain number of emeralds that you have to help rank advance in your downline in order to win the pot. So I'll put all that up tonight. Join it, join it, join it. It's going to be awesome. Last thing I want to talk about today, and we'll take the rest of the time on this, is the men's leader conference that just happened in Dallas that Nate and Luke and Mike and I all made it down to. Incredible event. Personally, I put it on par with the experience. Even though it was only one day, it was at least as good as if I went to Summit for one day. For me, it was at least that good. And it could have been probably a 2-day or 3-day conference and taken some of the information we got and just went a little bit deeper with it. It's just incredible to have all these guys on stage. And so I'm just going to take you through 5 little sections of that conference and things that I got out of it. And then I'll let Mike jump in. I don't know if Nate's on. I don't think Nate's on tonight, but if Mike stays on, he can jump in with any takeaways that he had or amplifying things. But the number one thing that I got out of it, which I thought was really, really good, was, and they said it exactly like this at one point, that fame is stupid. And I actually, when you kind of explained it, it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of people in Beachbody who are chasing fame. They're chasing being on stage, chasing ranks, chasing Success Club points so they can get a Chalene Johnson bobblehead, things like that. And I'm kind of making fun a little bit there, but seriously, like the people that were there, some of the top leaders that were there that talked, were guys that you might not have even heard their name, because they're not 15-star diamonds. They're 5-star diamonds, but they're making more money than the 15-star diamonds, because they're not chasing the fame of the rank. They're chasing building a legacy, is how they put it, building a legacy. And what they did is they sat down with the comp plan, the compensation plan for our business, and they said, what is the correct way to build from a business standpoint so that I build myself a business that lasts for 7 generations in my family? And they sat down and looked at it, and here's what these 2 guys that came up, Bob Lucido and Keith Callahan. So you might not have heard of those guys compared to other guys that are 15 stars or you see on stage or see around all the time. Bob Lucido and Keith Callahan, and they said, the way they build is they go first goal is to go diamond. And you guys might want to write this down if you were not at the conference, okay? First goal, go diamond. They said if you're thinking about going emerald, you're thinking too small. Think about going diamond, go diamond, okay? First thing, go diamond. Second thing, they said, well, first of all, they said, make sure you sign your spouse up first, right away, no delay, sign your spouse up. You want to make this a business, if you want to build yourself a business, right away, sign your spouse up, okay? Right there on your right leg or left leg, whatever, should be the next person, write down you, spouse, okay? So after you get yourself diamond, you take your spouse to diamond. That's your next goal. After you take your spouse to diamond, your next goal is 2-star. After you go 2-star, you get to open a second business center. When you open that second business center, then your next goal is to go 5-star in your first business center. And after that, it's all about building 2-star in each business center so you can open another business center underneath that one. And that's what they do. They have built a 5-star business center. Their spouse goes 2-star. Their second business center goes 2-star. Then each of those gets to open another business center, and then they take those 2-star and then down and then down and then down, and they've built deep, 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 deep within their organizations. And they've taught their teams to do the exact same thing so that they can build a business that lasts for a really long time and brings in a lot of income. Okay, so their theme kind of was that fame is not what you're looking for in this business. If you really want to build a business, build yourself a business that brings you the income and brings you the kind of residual that you can take care of your family with for a really long time. Okay, so that was my first takeaway, was don't chase the fame. Don't chase all the ranks and all that stuff. 5-star is about as high as you need to go if you want to build this business to make, $1 million a year. 5-star is about as high as you need to go. Okay, interesting stuff there. Second one, some of these are a little higher level than getting down into how you should actually build. Number 2, become a student. There was a strong theme within this event that a lot of people will say things like, I'm really not good at that, or I really don't know how to do that, or I'm not the type of person that can do this kind of thing or that kind of thing. And they say, don't make excuses like that. Become a student of whatever it is you need to know. Like if you need to spend a couple of hours in the back office learning some things, go spend a couple of hours in the back office learning some things. If you need to learn how to tell your story better, read books on how to tell your story. If you need to learn how to use YouTube because you have some videos you want to put up, go watch some YouTube videos on how to put up YouTube videos, because there are those. They teach you how to do it. The information is all available to you out there to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. If there's something that you want to do, don't say, well, I don't know how to do that. Go find the information and figure out how to do it. Become a student of whatever it is. Become a student of this entire business. And really, when Bob and Keith were talking about building a legacy, they recommended that you become a student of the compensation plan and learn how downlines work, what strong legs mean, what weak legs mean, what inside leg means, what outside leg means, what 2-star means, what each rank requires, what all of it, the whole compensation plan. Like, you don't have to understand that in one day, but become a student of it. If you want to really learn how to build the business and you really want to make this your full-time thing, or you want to make this a serious income maker, and I know that's not everyone in here, but if that's what you want, is to make this your business, then become a student of it and learn all the ins and outs of it and all the aspects of it. And one of the ways you can do that is talk to a mentor. So like, if you're on my team and you want to know how the compensation plan works and how all that works, first thing to do is go get the compensation plan out, which is in the policies and procedures, which is a link at the bottom of your Coach Online office, and look it over and read it and look at what is it, how many coaches do I need to be a 2-star? And what does that structure look like? And then call me up or message me and be like, hey, I read this all. I need some help understanding this part. And we'll sit down and we'll talk about the compensation plan and how it works and strategies for building your business and where you should put new coaches and where you should focus on building rank and when you should do this and when you should do that. Okay, so becoming a student was a big theme at this event, and I love that because when I think back to all the stuff that I did to get to where I'm at in business, I was one of those people that pulled out the compensation plan and I read through it, the entire thing. I read everything in the compensation plan, not before I signed up as a coach. I wasn't one of those. There's those too. Like I know there's been a couple people on the team that I've had to send the compensation plan to before, and they read every bit of it before they would sign up as a coach. And that's cool too. I wasn't one of those, but after I became a coach, I read every bit of the compensation plan so I could understand as much as possible. You're not going to read it and understand everything about it, right? When you look at it and just go, oh, it's easy, you just do this. But I read every bit of it. And when I wanted to become better at having conversations, I read books about having conversations. And when I wanted to get better at leadership, I read books on leadership. And I just became a student of that kind of stuff. So that was number 2. Number 3, this just keeps coming up. It's about telling your story and telling your story well. And there was a big theme because Bo Eason was there, and Bo is, I mean, he's a master of telling your story. And then I watched that thing by Gary Vaynerchuk like a couple days ago that talked about about telling our story within the social media platforms and within the marketing platforms that we have today, which is not the same as it used to be. But the theme is, the person who tells their story the best and the person who tells their story the most is the one that has success. And so this is another area where you can become a student too, but the theme was learn to tell your story well. Become obsessed with telling your story really well. There's a couple ways you can do that. Number 1 is just telling your story a lot, because you get better and better at telling your story as you tell it a lot. But the other thing is, so Bo Eason gave us 3 things that are parts of telling a story well. Number 1 is that the more personal your story becomes, the more universal it is. So making your story personal is really, really important. He gave an example. When he came out on stage, he said, when I was 9 years old, and then he gave another part of his story, but he said, when I was 9 years old, and he told us, he said, later in the conversation, he said, when I said when I was 9 years old, did you picture me at 9 years old? And everybody just kind of looked at a blank stare, and he was like, or did you picture yourself at 9 years old? When I said, when I was 9 years old, I was in my backyard at 5 a.m. Did you picture yourself in your backyard at 5 a.m.? And the answer for me was, yeah, I pictured myself, right? And so he was talking about how he made the story personal, and it became personal for me as well. So making the story personal, number 1. Number 2, he talked about physicality and the way that you posture yourself when you're telling your story. When you tell your story, you posture yourself powerfully, not, like I watched another thing today on YouTube about power postures that Christy Nicole sent me. And it was about how when we're feeling small, when we're feeling powerless, when we're feeling, not in control, we make ourselves smaller, and we cross our legs and we crunch up and we get smaller and we touch our neck and we do things like that. And when we're feeling powerful and when we're telling a story that we really want to get across to people, we open up and we push our chest out and we take a powerful position. And so he talked about having physicality when you tell your story. When you tell your story in person, that you're in a powerful position, that you're serious about it, that you're not kind of telling it timid, that you're telling it with power. And then the last thing he said was that your story has to be generous. You have to be, when you're telling your story, you have to be generous with you. You have to be giving all of you all of the time. So when he tells his story on stage, you can tell that he's giving every piece of himself to tell that story. He's not holding back at all. He's putting as much energy as he can into it. He's putting as much passion as he can into it, all of himself, all the time. So those were his 3 points. Make it personal, be physical, and be generous with your story and telling it. 4th thing, so 3 things: famous, stupid, become a student, tell your story well, which is also you can become a student of that. The fourth thing is I've been talking about this mindset of when you're telling your story or when you're talking to people, when you're prospecting people, when you're inviting people, that you have this mindset that, hey, I'm going this direction and I don't really care. I mean, I care because you're my friend, but I don't really care whether you're going to come with me or not, but I'm offering you an opportunity to come with me. Right? And that's the posture, which is a powerful posture that you have when you talk to somebody about your opportunity, rather than it can't be the posture of, if you say that you don't want to go, then I might not go either. Right? Like it's not that posture. It's, I'm going this way either way, whether you come or not, but I'm offering you a spot on this train to come with me. Right? And I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. And what was funny is that I got there and I've been hanging out with some of these guys that are on this trip. They're on at Dallas for a couple of years now. And it's something that I've picked up from them. And I probably heard 8 times from the stage that thing said in different ways, that you have to have that kind of an attitude and that kind of a mindset when you're talking to people. I'm going this way. I'm offering you an opportunity to come with me. If you say no, that's totally fine. You can stay where you're at. But I'm going either way, and it's pretty cool over here where I'm going. You got to have that kind of mindset. If you have this mindset that's like, oh, did you like, maybe you would like Shakeology too, because I kind of like it. And, you know, and if you, and then they kind of get this feeling like, well, you're not really that confident about it. And if I told you that Shakeology, drinking shakes, was stupid, you might kind of change your mind too. Like if they feel like you're going to change your mind based on what they say, they don't have any confidence in where you're going or what you're doing. They have to feel like if I don't go with them, I might be missing out on something. Okay, so that's the mindset. It was very, very prolific throughout the event that mindset was there. And then the fifth thing I'll talk about is Josh Spencer kind of closed out the event. And Josh Spencer was the top coach in 2010. And back then in 2010, the way top coach was calculated was purely on Success Club points. It was just how many Success Club points you get, which is not how top coach is calculated now. It's based on more on how good your downline does than how many sales you make. But at that time, that's how it was. And Josh saw what he wanted, and he went after it, and he got an insane amount of Success Club that year. Like he said, this is what I'm going to do. And he told the story the beginning of 2010. They were living in an apartment and were partially on government support, living in a tiny apartment. And he saw the opportunity. He saw that there was a France trip associated with top coach that year, a cycling trip in France. And he said, he looked at his wife and he said, if you give me 1 year, where I'm going to work really long hours and we're not going to get to spend a lot of time together, and it's not going to be an easy year. I'm going to be working all the time. I'm going to be on the phone all the time. He said, if you give me 1 year, I'll make us a business where we won't have to do that again. And she gave him that year, and he sacrificed everything that he felt he needed to sacrifice to do that and became the top coach in the company. And what he did is he gave 5 things that he thinks are super important for working this business. The first one is that you have to have a championship work ethic. These are his words: championship work ethic, and understand or be willing to make sacrifices. So you might want to write these down. These are straight from Josh Spencer as I wrote them down. Maybe Mike can expound on any that he had notes on. Championship work ethic and be willing to make sacrifices. And he talked about his days playing college baseball and before that, and how his dad used to have him hit balls off the tee in their basement. And he had him hit 500 balls every night. And he didn't like it when he was young or for a little while. And then he got to the point where he enjoyed it, and he would hit 500, and then he would hit 1,000, and then he would hit 1,000 each side, and then 1,000 hitting right hand, 1,000 hitting left hand. And he kept doing that. And how that work ethic and going from playing video games to hitting baseballs in the basement changed his baseball career. And he likened that to to being a coach, and that if you want something, if you really want something, and no one can tell you what you want. I think he made that clear, and I'll make that clear on this call. You don't have to want to make $1 million a year in this business. You don't have to want to make 6 figures in this business, and you don't have to want anything. But if you do, you have to have the championship work ethic, and you have to be willing to make sacrifices to make it happen. So what are you going to sacrifice, is what he said, to be able to make the goals that you want. You're gonna have to sacrifice things like watching The Walking Dead every night, or watching Game of Thrones every night, or whatever it is that your show is. If you need to do your follow-ups and you're going to watch TV instead, then that's not the kind of work ethic and the sacrifices that are going to get you to a business that are going to make you $1 million a year. It might be enough sacrifice that you've made in other areas to get you to make $500 a month, and maybe that's what you want. But some of you I know out there are saying, this is what I want, and what you're doing doesn't match that as far as work ethic and sacrifices, right? So I'm not telling you what to want. I'm just telling you that you need to make what you want match what you're willing to sacrifice and how hard you're willing to work. Okay, and that was his first point. Second point is that you're going to face adversity and you're going to fail. Okay, a lot of people, they hit this point where it's like, well, I made Success Club for 2 months in a row, and then the third month I couldn't make Success Club, and if I can't even make Success Club 3 months in a row, how am I ever going to do this business? And it's just not the right way to think about things. He mentioned, I wish I could remember and replay all of the things that he mentioned that he failed with and how he did things wrong, both in his baseball career and in his coaching career. But I could tell you a bunch of them that I've done. I could tell you a bunch of things that I failed in throughout my career as a coach, Beachbody coach, throughout my career as an engineer. All kinds of things that I failed at, things that I've tried and failed. Do you know, before Dallas, I put together, this is one that I can give you, before Dallas, a friend or a colleague of mine called me and said, he's in advertising, online advertising. And he said, hey, I want to work with you on getting some more leads for you. And it's paid advertising, obviously. It's his business, And so I sat down with him, looked at things, and we ended up deciding to do a campaign through online ads to market specifically at guys that live in Dallas, to see if I could get some guys interested in meeting me in Dallas before the event and kind of getting fired up about being coaches. So I was going to prospect through online advertising guys in Dallas. And it cost me $1,900 to do all the ads. And I got 0 people out of it. 0. So I just spent $2,000 trying out some online ads, taking a little bit of a risk to see how it would work, and I got absolutely nothing out of it. And it could be that, I could say right now that was a huge failure, and it was a huge failure, but I learned things from it, and I'm moving on. And I can't even tell you how many things I've done throughout my coaching career that are like that, where I've said, I'm going to try this. And I've either spent money or inordinate amounts of time on stuff, and it has gotten me almost nothing, except it has gotten me new skills, and I've learned things through it. So you guys got to understand that you're going to fail and you're going to have adversity. Coach relations is going to do stuff to you. People are going to quit your team. People who have been on your team for a while are going to quit your team. People who produced things on your team and you thought were going to be with you forever might quit. It's going to happen. It's just the way it is. Okay. So take the adversity and realize that that's part of the business, and that you are getting something out of it, even if it's not what you think you want to get out of it. Okay. So adjust as you fail, and learn, and then keep moving forward. Number 3, write down what your market is and connect with them. This is what we've been going over for the last 3 weeks on team calls. What's your market, and how are you going to connect with them? What kind of content do they want? What do they like to do? Who is your market, and how are you going to connect with them? Josh says that this is one of the biggest keys to his business. If you look at Josh's business, his coaches and his customers are full of Josh Spencers, because he connects with college baseball players, and he connects with guys who want to gain size, and he connects with guys who like Corvettes. He connects with guys like him. That's what he does. So he's found his market. He goes and talks to those people, and then he shows them the business that he does that allows him to continue to do the things that he loves, which they love also. So he connects with them on that level. So go back to the last 3 team calls where we've talked about finding your market, picking the right medium to market to your market, and the content that your market wants. And then we've kind of covered that one, but that's one of Josh's. Number 4, leadership is where the magic happens. So I don't know if I can give you, he's got, let's see, he has 4 points under leadership is where the magic happens. 4 points: personal development every day. Number 2, focus on others. Number 3, focus 80% of your time on the top 20% of your people. That's really an important one. A lot of people get really, when they have, some of you diamond coaches out there probably can resonate with this. You focus a lot of energy once you make diamond on trying to keep diamond and trying to make the people who don't really have the work ethic or don't want to do it, trying to drag them through it or make them do it. And he says, focus your time on that top 20% of your people who are the producers. So if people are working hard and they're producing things, those are the people you spend your time on as leader. And then last one is connect with, listen to, support, and challenge your leaders. So the people that are below you that are leading, you connect with, listen to, support, and challenge them. And of course, he talked a lot deeper about each one of these points, but these are the main points that he gave. Last thing he said is learn to equip your coaches. And this was probably the one that hit home the most for me. And I think we really need to start doing this as a team. I don't think I do this enough, so I apologize to you guys for not doing this enough, but I think this is awesome what he said. He said, here's how it goes. First, I do it, which means I have prospecting calls with new coaches. I go out there and make Success Club. I go out there and am a leader, right? The second thing is I do it and you're with me. So I'm having a prospecting call with a potential coach. I let someone listen in on that call so that they can hear how I prospect a new coach. So first I do it, then I do it and you're with me. Then you do it and I'm with you. So you have a potential coach, you're going to have a call with them to talk about the business, and you invite me along to be a support for you and to listen how you prospect a new coach, because you've already heard me do it. Now it's your turn. Next, you do it, which means I'm not there anymore, and you're doing your prospecting calls and talking to your challengers, talking to your new coaches, bringing your new coaches up to speed, training your new coaches, all those different things yourself. I'm not there anymore. And then the last step is you do it and someone else is with you. So it passes down. So now you're in that spot where you do it and someone is with you, and then they do it and you're with them, and then they do it by themselves, and then they do it and someone else is with them. So those are kind of his steps of learn to equip your coaches, is to actually do things with them and them do things with you, so that they actually learn how to do it the way that you do it. So those were my 5 things. I'll go back through them for you here. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Fame is stupid. Build a legacy instead. Number 2, become a student. There's no excuses. Become a student of everything. If you want to do something, you got to become a student of it. Tell your story well. The mindset of I'm going this way, you should come with me. And then Josh Spencer's 5 points, which were the championship work ethic, failure is inevitable, find your market and connect with it. The magic happens with leadership, and equip your coaches. That is such a small piece of what we got that day, but it's some of the highlights that I wrote down in my notes and I wanted to bring to you guys. Mike Ryan, are you still on?
Yeah.
What else you got? You got anything for us that you can add to that? I know you.
The biggest takeaway for me is Tommy Migran started it off with saying that you need to believe in it yourself first. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's never been an issue believing in the products and that kind of thing. But I realized as I was sitting there, I've never really believed in the business. I mean, I did, but I didn't really get into it for the business, and I didn't. I haven't been taking the business as seriously as I need to if I want to make it a business. And especially after going there and listening to those coaches, I do want to make my business. It looks doable. So that was my biggest thing that I gained, I think, is just really the belief that it's a real deal. We can do this. The other thing I liked that Tommy started with is the idea that, he says men are attracted to a team, and, that's probably true of women, maybe not quite as much, but I'm sure it's true of women as well, that, the team building is important. And, again, I need to do that with my team. If I want to get to Diamond and beyond, I need to start building a team, something they really want to be a part of, and show them the belief in the business. I've really just been pushing what the product has done for me, what the product is doing for them. And I haven't spent any time focusing on the real business opportunity. And that's where it's at. It was just an eye opener for me again, to just sit there and see where these guys are with the business. And it was a great day. I mean, it wasn't boring. I mean, you think sitting in a chair from 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning until 5:36 at night, normally that'd be boring no matter how good it was. But I mean, every speaker was great. And, Bo Eason was the featured speaker, and he was awesome. But, when he got done, it was kind of like, man, I kind of want to listen to these coaches again. Let me hear some more from these coaches. For as good as he was, he spent a lot of time. But I felt like I could have easily sat all day Sunday listening to these guys as well. And, my only other takeaway that I'll add, because I think you did a good job summarizing it, Ryan, was just I lost my thought. About, kind of what you've been talking with on the Team Rhino calls as well, is to, Tommy says, pick an offense and run with it. So again, figure out who you are. The people that you're going to be best to attract into the business are going to be people like you. So know your market, develop an offense, go with it and stick with it, and don't be jumping all over the place back and forth. Stick with it, believe in it. Josh Spencer did a good job, again, following through with that. And, Josh, I think I could have listened to him for 2 or 3 more hours. He had so much good stuff to share. But that's the big takeaway for me, and probably a lot of people that I know in Team Rhino, is, do you really believe in the opportunity? Because it's doable. And until I believe in it, it's kind of hard for me to talk about the business in a way that other people are going to come along and want to jump on the train. So,
right. Good points. Good points. I love that. And I think that is, now this, anytime we talk about, things like what works for guys, what works for women, it's not ever universal. And some things that work for guys also work for women, and some things that work for women also work for some guys, But I think that they did have some good points about how guys are not typically as attracted to the social aspect of what we do as coaches. There's a very social aspect to the model of challenge groups and posting your food and posting your workouts and all that kind of stuff. And that social aspect of it is not always as attractive to the guys. And what these guys often lead with, not all of them, but a lot of them often lead with the way that you can build a legacy through the business for your family, and not the way that you can, have a challenge group and support each other through a fitness program. And I thought that was really interesting, kind of on your points there, Mike, about, finding your market and attracting them. If your market is 45 to 55-year-old professional guys, talking about coming into a challenge group to post what you ate for lunch might not very much appeal to those guys. But talking about retirement possibilities might appeal to those guys, and how you can use the business to really build yourself a retirement over the last 10 years of work, or over the last 15 years of work. You can build yourself a retirement so that when you leave, it's not just your Roth IRA or your 401k or whatever, that you've got this residual business growing. And that is attractive to a 45-year-old lawyer, right? I mean, that can be attractive to someone like that. And that might be specifically for you, Mike, as a 40, or I don't know, how old are you now, Mike? You don't have to say.
55, double nickel.
So a 55-year-old professional veterinarian, you know, very respectable field, you can probably go talk to those kind of guys. And that's probably how you would talk to them, right? Not about, well, hey, I've got this challenge group where you post your lunch every day.
Yeah.
I mean, that might not be attractive to them, you know?
Yeah. And that's totally the way that I've been doing this for, you know, almost a year now, is going by, hey, you got to do this program. And I haven't approached anybody from the business aspect. And that's going to definitely change, because, you know, I do believe in the business. And I think those are the guys that I can really reach that will be the kind of coaches that can build to the, you know, the company to where I want it to go.
Right. And to be clear, I mean, because I know we've got women on this call, obviously, and there's plenty of women on Team Rhino, and in fact, it's probably more women than men. I think our ratio is not the same as the total ratio of Beachbody, but the whole bring people into challenge groups and post your food kind of a model, it does work for a whole bunch of people. So don't take me as saying like that's stupid, we should never do that. This totally works. 90-10 is built around that. But you look at what 90-10 is. If you look at the 90-10 like page, it's 88% women. And that model is attractive, and women love that social aspect of it, right? And that is a really great business model, and that's awesome. There's a whole nother group of people that we could reach out there that model doesn't reach. And I think that's one of the things that these guys were talking about there's other ways to do it. That's one offense. One offense is fitness groups that you post your food in and you post your daily accountability in. That's a great offense. It works. There's other offenses, and maybe one of those works for you better. So, anybody else have any questions or thoughts? I wish Nate was on here. He could have or Luke. But anybody got questions, thoughts, share about anything? All good? All right. That's good, because I got to go eat dinner and teach Pio. So, hey, Leona, are you going to be at Pio?
I did Pio Sweat today, and I ran today already.
So that's a no.
Probably.
I figured I'd put you on the spot on the call again.
Of course you would.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being on, and have a good evening.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank